Hello everyone, hi. Well, that was a wee bit of a nightmare getting on. I was supposed to do this live on Instagram, but it wasn't working. So I managed to find a way around it. So I'm here, and as promised, this is an intuitive jumping on. So what this is all about is basically I'm doing a live Q&A. So I put up a post recently on my Instagram just asking people to, if they had any questions around the Kundalini energy, about the Divine Feminine, and I got a few questions back. So I'm planning to be on live for about I don't know, 20 minutes. If it takes a little bit longer than that, then that's absolutely fine as well. So I guess the purpose of this is really because what I've noticed over the last, I don't know how many months, that there's a lot of misinformation out there around Kundalini, Shakti, energy, the Divine Feminine and Masculine, because there is such a rising in the Divine Feminine and in all of this knowledge, that I feel like some of it is being miscommunicated, and actually that miscommunication can be really harmful, especially when you're delving into the world of Kundalini. So I guess I'm here just to kind of try and inform and educate you on what I know. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to follow my word as gospel, because I'm still very much in the journey of learning. But I've been studying the Kundalini for several years now. So whatever I talk about here, take it or leave it. I think this is really about you being able to use your own discernment, so that when you're entering like sacred spaces, or you're going to teachers or whoever it may be, you know exactly what you're getting yourself into, and if it feels right for you as well. Okay, because more important, the most important thing is that you feel right in your body, because that is how you're communicating. That's how your body's communicating with you. So there were a few questions, and the first question was a big question, and a great question. So it was, what is the Kundalini? So what is the Kundalini? And I had to make notes on that one because it's such a big question, and I wanted to make sure that I addressed it like really accurately, and I tried to get to the main point of the question as well. So what is the Kundalini? So the Kundalini is basically energy. It's life force energy. In my culture, my lineage, we call it Shakti, but it's also called Chi, and it's a very, very powerful energy. I mean, it's the energy of the cosmos, and it's something that we're all born with. So when we're babies, we are all born with the Kundalini awake in us, and then as we grow and as we're conditioned, the Kundalini is suppressed, and that's where we get that kind of image of like the coiled serpent in the root chakra, or it's kind of actually, it's not even the root in the Muladhara, it's kind of between the root and the kind of anus section of your spine, and this is where it's coiled and it rests. And actually, in actual fact, the Kundalini rises up and down all the time. So, you know, when you're in joy, when you're in bliss, when you're in an orgasmic state, the Kundalini is rising, but she falls again. And she's also present when you are in trauma, or when you are in fear. So she doesn't just come up in joy and in pleasure, she also comes up when you're in a state of trauma or fear. So she rises and she falls. And I do refer to her as she, because she is the creatrix energy. And that creatrix energy is the Divine Feminine. So I think that's, to answer like what is the Kundalini, that is what it is. But what I also wanted to add was that there's this kind of whole driving forward, or this whole awareness, or, you know, there's a lot out there about bringing on the Kundalini, or there's Kundalini awakening workshops and Kundalini activation workshops, and I don't know, all sorts of stuff like that. What I can say to you from my knowledge base is that there's several phases that you need to go through in your life before you are ready for the Kundalini to rise in you. And when I say that, I mean that she chooses you. You don't choose her. And I've always said that. It's not something that you can bring about. It's not something, or it's not an energy that you can just call in. She chooses when you're ready. So there's 3 phases that need to take place for your body to be prepared. And it's all about the preparation. It is not so much about finding a guru or a teacher. I actually wouldn't recommend that. I don't agree with that personally, and I also don't think it's something that you should do through psychedelics as well. It's something that needs to happen very organically and very naturally. So there's 3 phases that you need to go through. There's the Prana Kundalini, which is where you practice like a type of yoga. And when I say yoga, I don't mean like the yoga and the stretching that you do on the mat. I mean yoga as a philosophy. So, and then and yoga as a whole, you know, this massive. It's not something that you can just wake up tomorrow and say, right, I'm just going to start practicing yoga. You really need to learn and understand it. There's 8 limbs to yoga, so you need to understand what all of that is. So this Kundalini is the Prana Kundalini, which is yoga practice and like mantras and stuff. So this is just preparing your vessel in phase 1. Then you've got the Chit Kundalini, which is where you are clearing and balancing out each chakra. And you can take a whole lifetime doing these, by the way. Like, cleaning out your chakras and balancing them is no easy task. You know, a lot of us kind of live in the lower 3 chakras on a day-to-day basis anyway. Then you, and this is also where like the Ida and the Pingala balance out as well. So your left side, your feminine side, and your masculine side. Then you've got the Jundi, which is where when you've balanced all of these, and your chakras are in balance, and your portals are aligned, and this is where she could choose to come in you, if she decides that she wants to. I think my advice here is that, like, there's a light Kundalini and there's the dark Kundalini, and if you activate and awaken the Kundalini incorrectly or in a way that your body isn't prepared, is actually really harmful. Because the dark Kundalini can like really give you like psychological trauma. It can really take you into a state of depression. It can really harm you on a physical, spiritual, mental and emotional level. And I don't think there's enough awareness about that. Everyone talks about how wonderful the Kundalini is and it takes you into higher states of consciousness. But she's a really, really powerful energy. And she's not an energy that you can tame or control. The best outcome that you're going to get with your Kundalini awakening is that if you can manage to work with her. And I'm talking about this from personal experience, because when my Kundalini activated or awakened, or when she decided to come into me, I don't know if maybe like there was a point where I felt like she was taking over, and she would just rise in me like at random times. And when you do feel the Kundalini, it's a very shocking and a very energetic energy, and she was taking over, and it was scary. Like, it wasn't like not scary, it was quite scary. So I managed to bring myself back to a grounded place and like balance that energy, but it took me quite a bit of time, and I have to thank my practices for that, and I have to thank like the many teachers that I've spoken to for that as well. So I hope that answers the question on the Kundalini. There's so much more I could say about that as well, but it would take a whole other 45-minute video, and I really don't want to be on here for like 45 minutes. So the next question that I got asked was actually a really a question that I get asked a lot about how to balance the divine feminine and the masculine. So hi Anthony, nice to see you. Hi Debbie, nice to see you too. It's lovely to have you on here. So how do you balance the divine feminine and the divine masculine? I get asked this a lot by women, and I think the first thing I want to do here is clarify what the divine masculine is and what the divine feminine is, because I feel like there's a lot of misinterpretation here. So how we perceive the divine masculine at the moment, like, so currently we all kind of look at the divine masculine as like very action driven, goal orientated, strong, assertive, kind of solid, routine, structure, order. All of these things are the masculine, which they are. But then the divine feminine we often perceive as like soft and floaty and airy and a very subtle energy, like no structure, no order, no discipline, no action steps, it's just like a complete opposite of the masculine. But actually within the feminine there is also a fire, there's also an energy, and it's a very, very, very powerful creative force. In fact, like women who carry the divine feminine, who have their divine feminine within them balanced, is they are in their most powerful and empowered place. Because it's a divine feminine, it's the womb that we all have as women. Whether you have a child or not is irrelevant. It's the womb where we create from. So universes are created, galaxies are created, life is created from this divine feminine force. So that cannot just be soft and gentle, right? There's a fire there as well. There's a passion there. There's creativity there. And so I think I wanted to clear that up first about how we misinterpret what the divine feminine actually is. The divine feminine is like super powerful and creative, but she's powerful and creative in her own way. She doesn't need to be action orientated. She needs to be aligned. She needs to be balanced. She needs to be in her power. Okay. So to balance your divine masculine and your divine feminine in day-to-day life, it's not actually that difficult. So I actually had this conversation with a colleague, a friend of mine, and she was asking me this exact question, and I was questioning her. I was like, okay, so what do you do in the morning? And she's like, I get up in the morning, and then I go make myself a cup of tea, and then I sit down and I meditate. And I'm like, well, that's divine masculine, because that's offering you, that's that structure. So she's like, oh, and I'm like, like it doesn't need to be like, oh my gosh, you get up and you write down your goals, and you're like, okay, right, this is step 1, is step 2, is step 3. Actually, the divine masculine is providing a container for you to be able to have all the aspects of the divine feminine. So you having a structure, you having a routine, you just getting up in the morning and thinking about, well, what am I going to cook today? That is divine masculine. That's divine masculine, and that's how we live it and breathe it in every day. You don't need to make a big kind of hoo-ha about it. You don't need to start vision boarding and put yourself, oh my gosh, that's me and my divine masculine. You're living and breathing your divine masculine and your divine feminine every single day. It's very subtle energy. You don't have to sit and think to yourself, I need to be more in my masculine, and how do I do that? You're probably already doing it. You're doing it in your daily life, in your daily tasks. And it's so important, I think, for people to understand that. And I think for me, because I do come from that lineage of like Ayurveda and Indian kind of heritage and culture, I'm always going to talk about the Shakti and the Shiva. So the Shakti is that Kundalini energy, the divine feminine, the creatrix energy, and that Shiva is like the ethers, the consciousness. And Shakti and Shiva are always in this beautiful cosmic dance, constantly, this dance. And this dance is something that we are moving through in life all the time. So Shakti is the dancing force, Shiva is the consciousness, and they're always moving in coordination with each other. And Shakti so Shiva will sit in stillness and observe, where Shakti is allowed to move freely, be creative, be emotional, be fiery, be soft, be gentle. And Shiva, he creates the framework and the space and the capacity for her to be able to do that. So, how do you balance the divine feminine and the divine masculine? You're probably already doing it and you probably don't realise it. It's taking aligned action. It's like setting an intention in the morning or whenever it may be, that this is how I intend my day to day. That's divine masculine. And then surrendering to that, which which is the Divine Feminine, and trusting that the day will unfold in whatever which way that it needs to unfold. Okay, are there any questions on any of that, whatever bit that you managed to catch? Because I know when I go on a bit of a ramble, it's I don't know if anyone can actually make any comments here or not, I'm not sure. Okay, maybe not. Oh, Debbie says, I love how simple it is. Yeah, it is really simple. I think we overcomplicate it. And I think the other thing is that we're in such like constant information overload that personally I find it disconnecting. I find that sometimes when there's all of this information, it's like, oh my gosh, like this is what this person is saying, this is what this person is saying. And as much as it is important to keep yourself informed and educated, I think it's equally important to honour your own truth as well. So go where you feel like your truth is being heard, or that you're understanding what is being taught or what is being said. Setting intention and surrendering to allow it to unfold. Yeah, 100%. Setting the intention is the masculine, and surrendering and trust is all part of the Divine Feminine. So that was a couple of questions that I had. This is something that I was hoping to do live on Instagram so that I could have a little bit of an interaction, but Instagram chucked me out. So what I'm going to do is at least once a month I'm going to try and put a post out or something just to ask if you have any questions on yoga, the Divine Feminine, sensuality practices, tantra, and of course Kundalini, which is a big part of tantra. They work like that together. And what I'll do with this video is I will try and save it and download it, and I'll put it on my YouTube channel, or I'll put it on all of my social media platforms so that you can go back and listen and share with whoever else needs to hear the content in this video today. I think more than anything, this is really important to me because I feel like there's a lot of, like, I feel like my culture, my tradition, my lineage is being kind of brutalized a little bit and torn apart, and I just want to bring a little bit of centering to that, and inform you from a place of knowing and lived experience, because a lot of this is like something that I've lived and breathed my whole life. And I'm not saying that I know it all, because I certainly don't. I am still very much on the cusp of that journey, and I would say that I have just kind of got the tip of the iceberg, especially when it comes to the Kundalini, because it's huge. It's absolutely a huge arena to try and unfold and understand. It'll probably take a whole lifetime. So thank you so much for everyone who managed to join, even though it was very impromptu and intuitive. And I will see you on the next live. Bye.